Hi, Freddie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How about you?
I'm very good, thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being our next guest on 15 Minutes With. It's my pleasure to introduce to those who are watching Freddie Evans from Travel Counsellors. It would be lovely, first of all, Freddie, to find out more about how Travel Counsellors came about and what your role in the business is, please.
Okay, so thanks for having me, firstly. Travel Counsellors, over 20 years ago, their inception was to be one of the best home working leisure travel agencies that there could possibly be. There was a massive gap in the market for people who had left the industry, wanted to get back into it, wanted to give a really high touch personal service to their clients that perhaps they couldn't do through a shop or that sort of thing, working in your high street travel agencies. Since then, it has grown into a massive organisation, I think 1,700 travel counsellors globally. They've moved away from the home working method. People are now set up in branches, in offices, in teams. They're officially a global company operating in 6 countries now around the world. And I think they've just closed this year's figures at a turnover of about 800 million. So their buying power and the ability to offer a huge product ranges, I mean, that speaks for itself.
Yeah. I had no idea that they had the physical offices either. I always say every time on 15 Minutes With, I learn something, and I've already learned quite a bit there. So
yeah, I mean, that's kind of the misconception of it, because that was how it started, and sometimes that's what the brand is known for.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got an office with 2 members of full-time staff in it. I then have my teams that have their offices remotely. So we were kind of, the pandemic didn't disrupt us as much as it did other people with the remote working and technology that we've got. So we were able to keep up with the changes and the service levels that perhaps other companies weren't able to.
You were ahead of it, really, weren't you, as well? If you started home working and then went to the office thereafter, you were ahead of the curve.
Exactly. So, we already had the well-being and support in place that if people were a little bit lonely and isolated, because it had that nature of its history, there was already things and systems set up. So we've got all of the technology of different forums just to have a chat, vent, relieve your frustrations. And then during the pandemic, there was a rate my plate thing where people took photos of their dinner and everyone was quite insulting rather than complimentary. So yeah, it's just like a community, I would say, rather than a company.
Yeah, sounds really good. And your role specifically there?
So I joined in 2019 because I was with a big TMC and decided that I wasn't able to facilitate my clients quite as well or in my way. So I opened my own branch as a franchisee almost. I don't really like the word franchise because it gives, again, misconceptions. With a view to having my own business travel agency with the backing of a multi-million pound company, so I didn't want to go it alone in this industry is almost impossible. So it was like a ready-made branch that you can run in your way and you can service your clients how you want to.
Yeah, love it. And do you remember how we met? How do we know each other?
I got introduced from Barney, who knew you previously from one of his other companies, and said it was a great opportunity to get involved and meet like-minded people and perhaps, provide support to companies that are specifically looking for certain industries. And it's worked really well so far. I mean, the memberships pay dividends with inquiries and people getting in touch with us just for some advice. We're not, obviously everyone has to make money, but people need to have a bit of help sometimes as well. And your portal has really given us access to people to be able to help. And it's what we like doing.
Yeah, exactly. And that for us is the main thing with our partners who, you're an expert in travel and, the corporate travel environment in particularly because of your background with the travel management company you mentioned. And, for our members, and there are nearly 2,000 of them now who need that support, it's the perfect pairing to be able to say, well, we can't all, I only know so much to be able to put content out there. So to have partners like you guys who can help our members and advise them and potentially have business out of it as well, because actually, like you say, we are all businesses. But as long as our members are getting what they need, be it, business or be it advice, then that keeps them coming back, and it builds that really nice relationship of trust as well. So
yeah, I mean, it goes in hand, doesn't it? If people need the advice and we give the advice, chances are there's a business opportunity on the back of it, and it's what we're all here for. But I'd say we genuinely we're quite excited. Barney will go, oh, look, I've been on the forum and someone's asking about group bookings for Christmas, and where would you, you've just done a big group thing for a PA team, where did you send them? And you just jump on with suggestions. So it's just been like a less formal LinkedIn, but slightly more business related than Facebook. So it's kind of like a casual halfway house.
Yeah. No, and it's private as well, isn't it? It's only the partners, only the members are permitted. We kick anyone else out that's not fitting our community quite right. So, good. And you've just mentioned some of the work you did there with this Christmas group booking. So how do you work with office managers? What sort of things do you do in that relationship with them?
There's nothing set in stone. I mean, essentially, you'll find that a lot of travel providers will have a one-size-fits-all approach. This is our proposition, take it or leave it. Is it going to fit for you? We take time to sit down with people and say, what is it you need? Because everyone's travel requirements are different. You're going to have one EA that wants just domestic rail in the UK. You're going to have someone that only does international travel, people that do group incentives. So everyone's needs are different. So we sit down and we kind of listen to what they need rather than what we can offer. And there's rarely a situation that we can't offer what most people need. I mean, there's very few gaps in our armory. And then we do like a structured implementation talk. We go in, it's a big thing to move suppliers. It's a big thing to change who you're dealing with.
Yes.
And it's a daunting thing for companies to take that on. So we can't try and make it as comfortable as possible. So we don't just try and get them to sign a mandate and that's it, you're booking your travel with us for 2 years. We'll go in and we'll sit with the EAs and say, right, how do you want to book your travel? Jennifer likes to do it on email. Sandra likes to call up. John likes to do but a little bit of both, or instant messaging. So we kind of tailor it to their specific requirements. You do the implementation, then you go back in 3 months after to make sure everything's running, what you want to tweak and change. So it's an evolving process that isn't just, as I say, set in stone from the start.
Yeah, love that. And it's meeting the customer's needs.
Yeah, exactly. Because everyone's needs are different. And I think if you try and force a round person into a square box, it's just, something will give eventually and it won't work. So we try and iron out any issues or specifics before they become a problem.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like these days you do have email, and then you do have WhatsApp, and you do have Slack, and then you have your website and phone numbers and all the different apps that go along with it. And it's just in a personal life, what do you message your friends on? Is it WhatsApp? Is it Facebook? Is it text message? Or is it all these young apps like TikTok and stuff as well, which I'm not on? But in business it's a similar sort of thing. And how do you converse with people, and what's the preferred method? So that's really interesting that you find that out from the off, because a lot of people I don't think give consideration to that and do try and fit them into their model. So I really like
you
that.
have to book via email, you have to call us, you have to use an online portal, and it's like, well, let's find out what they want and see if we've got the option for them. We're not afraid to turn business away, as stupid as that sounds, but I've been in for 2 meetings this year where the fit just wasn't there for us or for them, and I will never take on a client that I don't think we can successfully manage from our perspective or from theirs. So I think we're one of the few honest agencies out there.
Yeah, that's high integrity, isn't it? To be able to do that and to turn around and say, actually, I don't feel like this is right because we're not going to be able to give you the service that you need, or whatever it might be. That's very honourable, as you say.
I mean, it's more brand damaging to sort of overpromise and underdeliver. Or say that you can't do something, you can do something that you can't. I mean, someone's going to walk away from that, and one bad review in any industry is damaging. And I think you have to protect yourself from that from the outset and just be honest and open.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And you're right. It is, you can do all that hard work, can't you? And then one bad comment, one negative review can just take you down like a ton of bricks. So
undone.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you enjoy the most about your job and working with office managers and assistants?
I enjoy making their life easier. I know how difficult office managers, EAs, PAs, even up to facilities and procurement teams, I know how difficult their job is. People don't realise that they're kind of the angels of the office. They tend to salvage the things that, directors will come to them and say, this trip needs to happen, from a travel perspective, and there's a million other chores that they have to do. And it's quite a scary proposition, especially for a new EA or new office manager, to get things right if they don't have the relationship there. And so much can go wrong. So what I like the best is when things do go wrong, that we make go right for them, because I know how much of a time saving and stress saving that is. I mean, an example, last night, literally at about 8:30, I got a phone call from a PA who said, look, my boss has just checked in for this flight. There's no luggage included. He was going to Australia.
Oh, no.
It was booked incorrectly by their team based on what they asked for. She couldn't get through to the airline. The check-in desk wanted £870 to check his bag through because it was a hand baggage only fare. Within about 15 minutes, because we have access to the systems rather than speaking to the airlines, we changed the ticket, reissued it, told him to go back to the check-in desk, and he thought she had solved it. So we're kind of an extension to their team. So we're almost like a PA's PA or an office manager's PA that's external to them.
Yeah, love that. And any other kind of case studies or stories you can tell us about? Because I think there's probably so much in travel that is quite interesting. So any tales to tell us that aren't, you know, confidential in nature that you can share with your experience?
We thought we'd been through the worst with Thailand tsunami and then an ash clouds and everything else. I mean, COVID hit the industry hard. It absolutely decimated it. And where we came out of it, and I think it's the Martin Lewis, the money saving expert guy, he did 3 separate runs of surveys, national surveys, and Travel Counsellors came out on top with every single survey on how we looked after our customers through the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, I had one guy that was in, I think he started in India, and we kind of, the red list countries came in, so we had to go, right, okay, so that's been red listed, so we need to move him to a country that's not red listed, keep him there for 10 days and then move him on. And it was like playing Snake on the old Nokia phones, where it was just going round and round, and we were trying to evacuate people out to get them safe. And I think in the end, he spent about 42 days out of the UK on what should have been a 5-day business trip. Yeah. Because we kept having to move him to different countries. He ended up back in Dubai, I think, or somewhere like that. And then, because he'd been in South Africa as well, that got red listed, and it kind of chased him around the world, the red list status. Yeah. And it was a proud moment.
Just constantly moving that,
that
piece.
Constantly flying him onto a different country who would accept him in where we wouldn't. And I think for me, it's the ability to look after people. We genuinely care. I mean, I wouldn't have anyone in the team that didn't have a passion for what they do and looking after people. Yeah. The situations like that, I think anyone can book travel online. You can use Google, Skyscanner, go to the airline's website directly. When things go wrong is where we prove our value.
Yes.
And the pandemic, more than any other time before, I think, has shone that light on it.
Yeah. And holidays in general are stressful to book. I mean, there's so many, like I prefer the days of when I could go on teletext and just find a, you know, you might tell me off, but find a deal on there, or like you say, walk into a local branch or whatever it might be, and just it be presented with some options because you've given some criteria. Whereas you can get so lost in the web these days, and it can be such a minefield trying to figure out where to go, you know, where to stay, what to do, who to fly with, and what you know, it's just, it can be so stressful, and it can take hours if not days to do that searching. So it's easier to be able to give someone a criterion for them to know you know, the options that are there. And
the online stuff as well can kind of lead you down a bit of a rabbit hole.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, you're not booking on that site, you're going through to a third party, then who is that person really? Then it diverts and then says, this isn't actually available, this is what's available.
Yeah. And then the price doubles, and
exactly that. And we kind of just take that stress out of it. I mean, we do have a leisure side of the business. We've got the TC VIP concierge side of my office. So anyone that books their business travel, we have the leisure arm to it as well, to give discounts, almost like as an internal staff benefit system to anyone that books their travel. So you get that. And again, it's, as you say, you don't know where you're staying, you know, where's this meeting that my boss is going to? We need to make sure there's a decent restaurant for him to network at, or at least a bar. We do all of that side of it as well. So it's almost like a concierge service rather than just a travel agency. Yeah,
and you can do the car bookings and everything, can't you, on landing and all that sort of stuff. So.
Everything from a train London to Manchester to a private jet into the middle of Africa. I mean, there's nothing that we can't do.
Amazing. Okay, so to finish on, what are some of your top tips then to share on the areas that you are an expert in terms of travel and travel booking?
Top tips, because people always people always wonder when you say we should really be booking this now because inside of a certain amount of time, the fares and stuff are going to go up. Key things for getting really good value for money on travel is book outside of 28 days from departure. Try and include a Saturday night stay when you can, because there's often penalties because you're seen as a business traveller. I mean, if you go online and look at flights out Sunday, back on Thursday, really expensive. But if they went on Saturday, back Thursday, it might mean they're out for an extra day. But a lot of companies, they call it bleisure. So it's the mixture of business and leisure. So the company will fork out the cost of their Saturday night stay in New York, because it will mean they've saved £2,000 on the plane ticket for them not going out just a day later. And just always try to keep away from loyalty, because a lot of the time for the airline points, the hotel points and things like that, through people like us, we have direct contracts which are 30-40% cheaper than booking direct. You don't get the points with them. However, when it comes down to business's money, because this is for business travel, the saving to this compared to the staff not getting their points is huge.
And it adds up, doesn't it? And the points don't really equate to too much in the end anyway.
They don't benefit the business.
No, but they don't benefit the business. No, you're right. So yeah, love that. Well, thank you so much for being our guest for December on 15 Minutes With. It's been such a pleasure to find out all those, and I love some of those tips as well about saving money, because I didn't know those sorts of things. So yeah, thank you very much, Freddie. That was really enjoyable.
Thank you very much.